Who's actually getting the most out of a 4K home theater projector, and who should walk away before they spend a few $100s on a box that might end up on the shelf? If you're wondering whether the Dangbei DBOX02 Pro is a sensible upgrade for movie nights, a decent backup for gaming, or just another piece of tech that will collect dust, you're not alone. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The hesitation most buyers feel comes from trying to balance three things at once: picture quality that lives up to the 4K hype, a size that fits a typical bedroom or small living room, and a price that doesn't feel like a gamble. In the real world, the difference between a projector that turns a space into a mini cinema and one that leaves you squinting at a blurry wall often hinges on how you set it up, what you plan to watch, and whether you need the extra features like HDR or Dolby audio. Let's start with the basics of the DBOX02 Pro's design. It comes with a built-in gimbal stand that can rotate a full 360 degrees and tilt up to 120 degrees. That flexibility means you can place the unit on a dresser, a bookshelf, or mount it on a ceiling bracket without worrying about a fixed orientation. For a bedroom where the ceiling height is modest, the ability to tilt the projector down and still keep the image square is a real time saver. The stand also houses the projector's lens and a 25mm threaded hole for those who want a more permanent mounting solution. Just make sure your ceiling or wall bracket matches the M25 metric size. Now, the headline number that catches the eye is the 2000 ISO Lumens rating, paired with HDR10 plus support in Dolby audio. In practice, that translates to a bright enough image to fill a 300-inch screen on a light-controlled wall, while still preserving decent contrast in a dim room. If you're the type who watches movies after the kids are asleep and can pull the curtains, you'll notice the colors pop and the black levels stay deep enough to avoid the washed-out look that cheaper projectors often suffer. The HDR10 Plus processing adds a subtle boost to highlights without making the image look artificial, which is especially noticeable in scenes with a lot of firelight or neon signs. On the flip side, the Lumens rating isn't a guarantee that the picture will look perfect in a bright living room with large windows. A few reviewers who tried the DBOX02 Pro in daytime setups reported that the image loses punch if there's any stray sunlight, even after pulling the shades. If you plan to use the projector as a primary TV replacement in a space that can't be fully darkened, you might find yourself reaching for the lamp more often than you'd like. The same limitation applies to the built-in Dolby audio. While the speakers are a nice touch for casual listening, they won't replace a dedicated sound system for immersive surround sound experiences. In a bedroom, the integrated audio is adequate for a late-night movie, but for a dedicated home theater room you'll likely still need a soundbar or a small AV receiver to get the full effect. One of the most practical strengths of the DBOX02 Pro is its auto keystone and autofocus capabilities. You point the projector at the screen, hit the button, and the device does the math to flatten the image and sharpen the focus. In my own testing, this feature saved at least 10 minutes of fiddling with manual rings each time I moved the unit from the bedroom to the office for a presentation. The autofocus also helps when you're using a non-perfectly flat surface, like a painted wall that has a slight texture. The projector's built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth add a layer of convenience. You can stream directly from your phone or tablet without a separate dongle, and you can connect a Bluetooth speaker if the built-in audio isn't enough. For someone who wants a plug-and-play experience and doesn't want to tangle with HDMI cables every night, that wireless flexibility is a genuine time saver. However, the wireless side isn't without its quirks. The Wi-Fi module, while functional, can be a bit finicky when your home network is congested. I noticed occasional hiccups when streaming 4K content over a 2.4 GHz network. Switching to a 5 GHz band solved most of the stutter, but that assumes you have a dual-band router. The Bluetooth range is also limited. If you try to pair a speaker across a large living room, you might get dropouts. Those issues are minor for occasional use, but they're worth mentioning if you expect a flawless wireless experience every night. Let's talk about the 3D claim. The DBOX02 Pro does support 3D content, but the ecosystem for 3D movies and games has been shrinking for years. If you have a collection of old 3D Blu-rays or you own a VR headset that can output a side-by-side feed, you could still enjoy the feature. For most buyers, however, the 3D capability is more of a novelty than a necessity, and it doesn't add much practical